Welcome to a Wabash Cannonball and a Whiteout in Manhattan, Kansas. A tasty non-conference duel between Marquette out of the Big East and Kansas State out of the Big 12. The nation's leading scorer is out of the concussion protocol. He is in the starting lineup. He is Marquette's Marcus Howard.
And when he's on the court, he can't miss television. He scored 51 points against USC. Trust me, K-State's going to guard him a little tighter than SC did. But he could flat out fill it up. He leads the nation in scoring 26 points per game, and they need every bit of it to try to get a road win here in Manhattan, Kansas.
31% of Marquette scoring in his 7 games played. 37% of their three-point field goals made, and he did not play Wednesday in a Marquette win over Jacksonville. Injured Tuesday. Steve Wojciechowski told us that Howard cleared his final test today. Good to go out of the concussion protocol, and college basketball is better for it.
Let's just think of this. 50 points in 3 consecutive seasons. You want to know the list that Howard is now on with? It's Wayman Tisdale, and it's Pistol Pete. That's it. Howard, Pistol Pete, and Wayman Tisdale. It's elite company that he's in, and it's a pleasure to get to watch him play tonight against a very good defensive team in Kansas State.
That's Sean Farnham. I'm Kevin Brown. We are thrilled to be with you from the Octagon of Doom. Tom Eads, Brian O'Connell, and Brent Hampton, who will throw it up, our officials. McCall Mayween and Theo John are ready to jump it. It is a whiteout. It is a throwback night with the old school 1970s Wildcats uniforms, the script Wildcats in lavender, and Cartier Jada and Kansas State control the ball to start.
We've been seeing a lot of the script writing for the uniforms. I love all of them. Ohio State wore them the other night. This is a fantastic look.
Fantastic look, not a fantastic start. A turnover on the first possession, and here is Theo John for Marquette. John bodies his way in, can't finish, and Xavier Sneed, Kansas State's best player, has the rebound. Starting 5 for the Wildcats: Jada, Mike McGurl, the guard, Sneed, the senior, at forward, along with Antonio Gordon, freshman, and McCall Mayween. That's a 3 off the iron from Sneed, knocked out of bounds by Marquette's Brendan Bailey. K-State ball, 20 to shoot.
It's funny, we asked both coaches today at shoot-around. We said, okay, what do you like most about your team right now? Both of them said, I think defensively we're ahead of where we thought we were going to be. At the start of this game, you've seen them flying around. I think the biggest key for Marquette is valuing the basketball. Some of the problems they've had at the defensive end have been predicated upon their turnovers.
Actually, grayed out better defensively than offensively so far, despite the presence of Howard. Here's the senior Mayween, dared to take a 3, and he hits his second 3 of the season in 3 tries. We welcome those of you who just saw Kansas knock off Colorado. We moved about an hour and a half away to Manhattan. Kevin Brown, Sean Farnham, K-State against Marcus Howard, the nation's leading scorer, and the Marquette Golden Eagles. McCall Mayween has just opened the scoring with a 3, and Marquette turns it over with an offensive foul.
And it's great to see number 0 back out on the floor for Marquette, though. He missed the game the other night against Jacksonville. Had that back-to-back game of 40 and 51 down in Orlando. Just a tremendous scorer, the number 1 scorer in the country in college basketball. It'll be a tough assignment for Kansas State to chase him around the floor all night long.
No shots in the first 2 possessions for Howard, who was in the concussion protocol. Here's Jada, who has had a really terrible shooting start. He misses a long 2, grabbed by Theo John. Marcus Howard, Xavier Sneed draws the assignment, and Sneed is whistled for a foul near the 3-point line. This was the issue when these teams played last year. Howard, in an 83-71 win, went for 45 and shot 21 free throws.
Well, and Coach Weber told us at shoot-around today, he goes, listen, I'll put Sneed on him until he picks up a foul. And just like that, Sneed is no longer on Marcus Howard.
True to his word, Mike McGurl has the assignment now. Good denial there. Jada on the drive from Kobe McEwen, the Utah State transfer. McEwen slow to get back. In a 5-on-4, McGurl misses an open 3. And the freshman Antonio Gordon has the rebound.
I like the aggressive nature we're seeing out of Kansas State, in particular in transition. They're making the extra pass. They're getting a good quality look. They just haven't knocked it down.
And that foul goes against McEwen. It is his second. Kobe McEwen expected to be an offensive leader for this team, has struggled in a major way early, and now he'll have to sit with 2 fouls in 2:05.
I think about this, the last 4 games for McEwen. He is just 3 of 20 from beyond the arc. That's 3 more than you've made over that stretch.
And 20 more than I've attempted, happily to say.
Well, we don't know that. I haven't been to all the shoot-arounds you've been to.
That's true. I have to take my word for it, which is a dangerous thing. The substitute is Greg Elliott, and he is denied. A major ejection leading to the Jota run-out, and McGurl again. He misses his second 3, and Brendan Bailey has the rebound. The block by McCall Mayween, the senior for Kansas State. One of the most ferocious defensive teams in the country this year and most years under Bruce Weber. Sakar Adam misses the 3, and Marquette will clear the offensive rebound. A 3 goes for Brendan Bailey, and the Golden Eagles, nearly 3 minutes in, are on the board.
And an outstanding effort against Maryland, 27 points. Made 7 3-pointers in that contest, and I think it's a welcome sign if you're a Marquette fan. Is we all know Marcus Howard can score, but how are the complementary role pieces going to develop over the course of this non-conference heading into Big East play?
This is Jota on the drive. Jota's shot is denied. Elliott got up and looked like he altered it, and here's Howard with Snead guarding him with a foul. Marcus Howard, 26-point-per-game scorer, finds Annam, and Sakar Annam misses an open 3. High-flying rebound for Snead.
Nice job by Snead. One of the things Kansas State's done an excellent job at is coming back and rebounding the basketball. They finish off the possession. They're going to try to really limit Marquette's ability to get second-chance points.
Wildcats 5-2. Their losses to Pitt and Bradley down in Fort Myers. Their best wins so far, North Dakota State at home, UNLV on the road. This is a sizable step up. They have the lead on a Mayween basket.
Beautiful footwork, though, and balance on that move by Mayween.
Howard's pass deflected by McCall and stolen. Mike McGurl lost it. Another turnover. And here is Howard electric in transition over Jota. Good for 3.
As a coach, you're sitting there going, wait, did he just pull up from 8 feet beyond the three-point line with a hand in his face in transition without numbers? And the answer is yes, he did. And he buried it.
That's a good shot for how many players in the country?
1.
Gordon with a missed 3. Chased down by Snead and Adam. And Snead has another offensive rebound for Kansas State. Mayween, the first 5 points, is denied by the underside of the hoop, and John keeps his footwork in bounds. Now Adam tied up and fouled. Mike McGurl picks up his first.
KB, there's only one player in the country that you feel really comfortable taking these types of shots. This is what Marcus Howard can do. He is a tough shot taker and a tough shot maker. Contested 3 without numbers in transition, nobody back, no problem for the nation's leading scorer, 6'5".
An early 1-point lead for Marcus Howard, the nation's leading scorer at Marquette here in Kansas State. Kevin Brown, Sean Farnham with you for Bramlett's Coliseum. How do you stop Marcus Howard? That's the question most coaches in the nation have when they play Marquette. Do you have an answer?
I think for most coaches, they sit there and they're reflective upon it and they say, we got to pray, because he's that dynamic of a scorer. He takes difficult shots that characteristically you're saying, okay, those aren't good shot attempts. But he knocks them down at such a high clip that he can do it. One aspect that I love about what I've seen so far from Marcus Howard tonight is he's not forcing it early in this game. He has 1 shot attempt. Yes, it was that transition 3 where he's stepping in and he's in a rhythm and he feels comfortable. But in the half-court set, he's been a willing distributor to try to get the offense around him going.
Sakar Adam hits the 2 free throws for a 3-point Marquette lead and some pressure. Wildcats break it with a freshman, Deshaun Gordon, number 3, in lavender and white. Sean Williams, the sophomore, off the bench as well, number 1.
It's a good scramble out of that press to make sure you match up appropriately. You keep Kansas State on the outside.
Strong drive by Williams, and this will go against the K-State sophomore, an offensive foul. Bruce Weber, yeah. Doesn't like it. Too late now. Jace Johnson, a Utah graduate transfer off the bench down low for Marquette. Howard into the teeth of the defense. Tip from behind, and it will stay with Marquette 16 to shoot. 6 years at Marquette for Steve Wojciechowski. A couple of NCAA tournaments last season. His team went 24-10, 2017 as well. 3 starters back from that team that went 12-6 in the Big East. It's the freshman Symir Torrance off the bench. Johnson working on Levi Stockard, 4 to shoot. And a travel is called against Jace Johnson. 2 accomplished coaches in this game. Bruce Weber, 8 years at Kansas State. 22 overall in Division I. 13 NCAA tournaments in those 22 years. He grew up a Marquette fan in Milwaukee. Idolized Al McGuire. The teams played in Milwaukee last year at about 70 to 100 friends and family in attendance.
And what a great experience for Coach Weber over the summer with the Team USA U19 over in Greece.
Got to coach Iowa State's Tyrese Halliburton, a few other college players. Kansas State turns it over again. 2 for 10 for the Wildcats, 4 turnovers, much to the chagrin of Coach Weber.
A frustrating start for both teams, really, at the offensive end of the floor. But you have to look at the way they're showing defensively, getting back, rotating, trying to contest.
Adam misses down low the feed from Torrance. And the rebound last touch by Stockard of Kansas State, which feels like it's getting hosed in the early going. Bruce Weber has been spending more time looking at the giant video screen hanging above midcourt than he has at the floor at this point.
This game is significant. You get an opportunity to go against Marcus Howard and Marquette. And the same can be said, obviously, for Marquette going against a K-State program that has been a consistent picture of success under Coach Weber.
That was a 2 for Howard. It's a 10-5 Marquette lead. Marcus Howard has hit 2 of his 3, 5 points to start. Jada got it.
You've got a short closeout on Jada. I'd want him to shoot the three-point shot, not become a driver. Right? So if you short close out on him, at least make him hesitate and think. If you close out quick to him and give up space, that one dribble rip through, he's going to find success.
Jace Johnson, meanwhile, on the feed from Howard, slams it home with the other side.
And Jace Johnson, the transfer from Utah, played for one of the best AAU programs in the country out in California, was coached by the new head coach at Cal Lu, Russell White. I talked to Coach White. I said, what was it like being able to coach Jace Johnson on the club circuit? He said, he's one of those kids who just works hard. He knows what it takes to be successful. And he's been a nice addition. And they need him because they need his size. They're going to need his rebounding in the Big East.
Johnson gets a breather. Ed Morrow is in off the bench, the Nebraska transfer.
Snead, by the way, back on Marcus Howard. Hit a couple shots. Even with the foul, you got to go back to him.
Here's a lean in for Jamal Cain. Offensive rebound for Morrow. When he's at his best, when he's at his most heightened focus, he can be a dynamic force on the board.
He needs to be a lot better than what he's been already in his time in Marquette. I covered him when he was back at Nebraska, and he was averaging 10 and 8 per game, and he was a beast on the offensive glass. While undersized as a big, his athleticism, his strength should allow him to carve up space and do exactly what he did on that previous possession.
His mom and dad were terrific athletes at Nebraska, played a couple of seasons there, left him Miles squad. 5.6 points, 4.5 rebounds last year at Marquette. And the minutes weren't big, in large part because of foul trouble.
They're just face guarding Marcus Howard all over the floor.
Mike McGurl on the assignment right now. Jamal Cain has been terrific off the bench. Airmails that one. Rebounded Deshaun Gordon, who just picked up his first for Kansas State. Jada, just 6 for 32 from 3 this year. And Jada's called for an offensive foul after shooting the 3.
Kicked his leg out.
5 fouls against K-State, down 7 in the early going.
You
start offensively for Cartier Jada and the Kansas State Wildcats. 3 for 12 shooting, 6 turnovers to just 1 assist. They trailed by 7. What's going on for K-State?
Well, the pace of play isn't patient enough at the offensive end of the floor. They're forcing the issue, and when you force the issue, you have turnover problems. The thing about this is a team in Kansas State that forces almost 20 turnovers per game. They've only forced 3 so far from Marquette. So Marquette's done a nice job handling the pressure. They've turned it over 6 times. They only average over 14 per contest, and we're not even midway through the first half.
On pace to hit that in about this half right now.
You have to value the basketball, right? I mean, turnovers are empty possessions. You don't get anything out of them. And a lot of times they're live ball turnovers that lead to runouts.
There's Greg Elliott with 9 to shoot for Marquette. No touch for Howard yet on this possession. The freshman Symir Torrance, too strong on a pull-up 3. Grabbed by McCall Mayween. His 3rd rebound to go with 5 points. Jada will take it in. Smothered by Morrow, but he was fouled by Bailey, and the officials are quickly in to separate in case there's anything, and to take a look at Jada, who took a hard spill.
And drive down the lane. A little extra afterwards. I like the aggressiveness. That's a hard foul. That is a very hard foul. But I would tell you this, is out of the timeout, you're struggling. Your team is 3 of 12 shooting. You're 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. It's not about how you score. It's just simply we've got to get some points. We have to see the ball go through the basket. And for Kansas State, the drive, the attempt now to get to the free throw line to manufacture some scoring.
Jada way off the mark on the first free throw. There's 12 of 23 from the line this year. Talk to folks around K-State about Cartier Jada. They'll tell you he put up twice as many shots as anybody in the team this summer. Always been explosive. A bigger role this year with the losses of Barry Brown, Dean Wade, Kamau Stokes. His overall game has improved in ways. His shooting not one of those ways to date as he goes 1 for 2. And he'll take a seat.
Well, you look at the numbers and you talk about the shooting for Jada. It's 19% from 3 coming into this game, 38% overall from the field. He actually makes 50% of his 2-point shot attempts because so often that is his athleticism and his ability to turn the corner and get to the rim.
1 for 2 there, snapping a Marquette run. Here's Howard. Extra pass gets it to Elliott, and Elliott is called for an offensive foul, trying to ward off Mike McGurl. Elliott with his first and Marquette's 4th.
An extension of the elbow. Here's what I love. Both coaches have been upset at times about some of the offensive fouls that have been called. Has it been consistent?
Yes.
Yeah. So even if you don't like the foul calls, this crew has been very consistent in the way that they're administrating these calls.
Tom Eads in your picture there. Brian O'Connell, Brent Hampton are officials tonight here at Bramlage Coliseum. Off a curl, Sneed.
That's who they need to get going offensively right now for Kansas State.
Offensive rebound, the near turnover. Mayween from Antonio Gordon. Flips it up with the left. Gordon the offensive rebound. 4th chance on the possession. Gordon is fouled, and he claps his hands together trying to ignite this white-clad crowd.
Well, you're sitting here and you're thinking to yourself, okay, one of these have got to go in. I mean, these are a lot of good looks, close around the basket, and it just, right now, there's a lid down here. K-State cannot finish. And if they're going to beat Marquette, they've got to be able to finish those and get N1 opportunities, not go to the free throw line and get 1 out of 2 or maybe 0 out of 2.
Gordon just his 5th free throw of the year. Brendan Bailey, by the way, leaves after that second foul. This has been one of the frustrations for Kansas State this year, their lack of post play. Montavious Murphy, a freshman off to a good start, is out. Some extra depth, James Love, Nigel Shad, they're not playing. The post players have not delivered, and there Gordon misses both.
You get 4 offensive rebounds and 4 shots from less than 5 feet out, and you don't get a single point. That's frustrating. Great effort, but very little achievement right there.
Oh, McGurl pinned against the basket by Theo John, one of the great shot blockers in the nation, after Howard had his shot blocked by Mayween at the other end. And Howard throws it away. Xavier Sneed in a 2-on-1. Sneed is fouled by Howard, and Kansas State will return to the free throw line. Marcus Howard picks up his first foul. Tuesday night, the 25th annual Jimmy V Classic from the Garden. Texas Tech and the new number 1, which looks like it'll stay there, Louisville, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, followed by Indiana and UConn. Both games on ESPN, streaming live on the ESPN app. The Jimmy V Classic is presented by Corona.
Let me ask you this. You saw Michigan down in Atlantis.
Yes.
Would you say you left there really impressed with what they could do offensively?
Absolutely.
That's why I love Louisville. Because what they did defensively is they took one of the top scoring teams in the country. They took a team that has been ultra efficient in the way that they've scored the basketball, and they made them inefficient. That defense travels. And I think for Coach Mack's team, that's why I think Louisville will win the ACC this year and will be in Atlanta at the end of the season at the Final Four.
Do you think they're a 1 seed?
Yeah. I think they will end up there. A lot of people question the schedule up until that point in that Michigan game. You know, and conference play is different because you've got to be able to do it on the road.
Here's Sneed on the run out. Another miss at the basket. My goodness.
They can't finish.
In transition, Kane feeds Annam, and Sakar Annam hits a 2. Marcus Howard on the bench right now for Marquette. No matter, a 6-point lead on the road.
For Louisville, the biggest key will be in conference play, winning on the road when you go to Duke, when you go to Carolina, when you're in Virginia and it's a grinder of a game. But Jordan Nwora has been as good and as efficient as any player in the country.
There's a 3 for David Sloan, the junior college transfer from Louisville, Kentucky. Just his second of the year for K-State.
So as poorly as they have shot the ball so far, it's a one-possession contest. Now that's the positive right now for K-State.
This is a team that ranks about 200th in the country in offensive efficiency. They're in the top 20 defensively, so the score shouldn't surprise many who watch the Wildcats as McGurl picks up his second foul. Bruce Weber trying to find ways to get his team to score. They used a weighted ball in practice before the Pitt and the Bradley games. They hit 10 of 23s against Pitt, but then went just 3 of 13 from the foul line in a 4-point loss. Can they find a night to put it together before conference play starts? The absolute grinder that is the Big 12.
Excellent ball movement by Marquette on that possession, making the extra pass and finding Elliott up top.
That's Greg Elliott, the redshirt sophomore, the 3. Sloan in the corner of 3. Deshaun Gordon can't connect, and Sloan, the 6-footer, is the offensive rebound. Another miss at the basket. Gordon's tip won't go, and Kansas State's got to be wondering who on the Marquette bench has a voodoo doll. Elliott hits his second 3 in a row. Largest lead for Marquette in a timeout. Bruce Weber.
Back-to-back possessions where you're unselfish and you make the extra pass.
When we return here to Manhattan on V-Week, our Sean Farnham has a special story of his connection, his family's connection in the fight against cancer. This is V-Week on ESPN.
That there's unwritten paragraphs, and while he is gone from us, those paragraphs are soon going to be filled up with the information that they need to extend out and eventually find a cure for this terrible disease in all the different forms that it comes in. And V-Week is the most important week of any week that we have at ESPN. And I encourage all of you to help finish those sentences. Help these doctors find a way so that all of us who have been affected by this, and all of us have been or will be affected by it, donate now at v.org/donate.
That's the link you see on your screen. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Doing a cleanup, Xavier Sneed just hit a 3 and missed a potential 4-point play. I think that the fight shown by your father-in-law is an incredible example, and the work that you and so many others have done to talk about his story, to promote this fight, that helps people who are watching, who are listening,
Let's put it in context. When he got the information that he had cancer, they said you lived maybe 5 to 7 years. He lived almost 14, and the quality of a lot of those years was really good. And that's a testament to the doctors and the advancements being made.
V.org/donate. You today can help all the millions that are fighting this disease out there. We appreciate every bit of support from the folks at home who are watching. That shot by Snead at 2. He missed the free throw. Marquette sticks it back with Sakar Adam on the offensive rebound, a 9-point lead. And meanwhile, Kansas State has still not scored in the paint. Mayween couldn't get around John. And an open three passed up by Kane, who travels.
Well, Marquette's got to find a way. Kansas State has got to find a way to finish around the basket. You've had 7 offensive rebounds, and you have 0 points in the paint.
It's hard to do, frankly. It's impressive.
The only basket that they made off of an offensive rebound was a 3, and that was the first basket they had of the game. So since then, in the last 6 offensive rebounds, they've had 0 points scored.
3 of which were on one possession.
So you've got to find a way to manufacture and finish around the paint. You've got to have some toughness. It's not about size. It's about angle. It's about the ability to finish.
Here's another opportunity. Jace Johnson with a stop. Second chance won't go for Deshaun Gordon. And like a broken record, K-State misses 2 more in the paint. Jace Johnson nearly traveled, and Marquette is able to break the pressure.
You say nearly. I say did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Let's be honest. That foul, by the way, that's Xavier Snead's second. He just fouled Adam, so bad goes to worse here for K-State. I do appreciate your willingness to
let's go.
Call it like we
you saw it.
Travel.
Okay, if you were sitting with your friends and you said, okay, is that a travel or not a travel? What would you say?
It's travel.
Okay. Then let's go there tonight.
But am I sitting with my friends?
Yes. I think I'm a friend. I drove you all the way here from the airport last night. I'm driving you back to the airport tonight.
You could just be a chauffeur.
Yeah, that's true.
Not a synonym. Well, let's see. We have 6:09 left in the half and another 20 minutes. We'll figure it out together.
All right. You're buying dinner on the way to the hotel tonight.
In the paint, a miss, or just outside of it. And Marquette will take possession. Kansas State is 5 for 24 as Sean Williams had the last miss. Now 5 for 25.
There's 2 ways of looking at this. One is Kansas State really struggling this much offensively, or how much credit do you give to Marquette and the effort they're playing with inside the half court? I think the discipline and the carryover from the scouting report has been outstanding for Marquette.
Marcus Howard has his pocket picked by Gordon.
Got to finish this one.
Jada, he does not. And he is fouled. He'll go to the line. Fouled by Jamal Kane, his first.
Opportunity in the open floor. Good back tap from behind. Throw ahead. Look to finish. I love the athleticism. I love the aggressiveness. But now you go to the free throw line, and this is not where he thrives. Bruce Weber, last time he was at the free throw line, was telling him, hey, breathe. Take a deep breath.
There you go.
It's the same thing I thought about when I showed up to the arena tonight, and I knew I was working with you. Breathe. Take a deep breath, Sean.
How's that working out for you?
It's okay. It's okay. You're the one saying we're not friends.
That's true. I guess it was working out for you before a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. Now you've got.
And now you know.
Snarky Sean is showing up.
We are friends. Please. We go back a ways.
Nice drive in
transition. That's Adam.
You've got to stop the ball, right? You've got to stop the ball in transition.
Marquette shooting 40% and 6 for 18 on twos, but they have smothered defensively in the paint. They lead by 10. Trying to beat Kansas State for the second straight year. Mayween steps out. That shot will be reviewed. At the moment, it is a 2.
I had fun when I was putting my game board together. You know he's plus 25% coming into this game from 3?
Adam with a beautiful reverse, meanwhile, at the other end.
Did you know that, Mayween?
I did know that, yes.
Yeah, he's 1 of 2 versus 2 of 8 a season ago.
He is now 2 of 3 in the year, so what's the math on that?
Red hot.
That's plus 41%, I think. Sloan, good drive. An open 3 for Gordon. Offensive rebound to Chado, who gets out of the paint as quickly as he can. Marcus Howard on the ball defensively for Marquette. Howard with an early foul. And Chada steps back and drains a 3. Gets a little tangled up with Howard on the way down. Just a 19% shooter from deep. Cartier Jada coming in, the junior out of Florence, South Carolina. Right now it's Gordon, the freshman on Howard, who's only taken 4 shots in the game.
They've done a tremendous job with no help defense off of 0.
Howard, Gordon, and Gordon is called for foul with just 3 to shoot. That will put Howard at the line when we return.
Kansas State's been struggling offensively, so what do? You dial up a play for a 19% three-point shooter. And then he does that. Hey, look, shots are going to fall. Be patient, Wildcats.
Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, down the road in Lawrence, number 2 Kansas cruises over one of the top teams in the Pac-12, Colorado. Maryland trailed basically the whole game. See how they came back to edge Illinois in what's been a wacky Big Ten, and all the top 25 teams in action. That's coming up at the half on the E-Trade halftime reports. Biggest takeaway for you, Sean Farnham, from the day it's been in college basketball?
I would say just how overall impressed I was with Baylor against Arizona in a battle between two teams inside the top 20. I think when you look at this Big 12, a lot of attention's deservedly so given to Kansas. Kansas has dealt with some turnover issues. Kansas at times struggles from beyond the arc. This Baylor team gets after you defensively and rebounds the ball extremely well. Freddie Gillespie, 17 and 13 today for Baylor.
In a game where Baylor had to give away free tickets because its football team was playing at the same time in the Big 12 championship game, which they lost in overtime to Oklahoma.
I don't think Baylor does is they defend the ball really well. Yeah. I mean, that's a staple of a lot of these programs. We talk about Kansas State defensively, Marquette defensively. Baylor really defends the three-point line. Arizona shot 11% from beyond the arc today.
Here's Sloan on the drive, and Sloan scores. I'm not sure if he was in the paint or just outside when he released it. Could be Kansas State's first basket in the paint in the game.
I like the fact that it was downhill and aggressive.
Yes.
Now, if you're Marquette offensively, you want to try to free up number 0. You've got to set some screens. To open up the game for Marcus Howard.
Symir Torrance, the freshman, missed the 3. Rebound fought for by a couple of K-State players, and Mayween tipped it to a seated Jada.
Gotta love that effort, right?
Inside, there's a basket of the paint. There's Antonio Gordon, and the assist to Sloan, who has been an unlikely source of offense in this first half. Led the nation in assists the last 2 years in junior college. David Sloan, he has one here. And an over-the-back foul is going against Marquette. And Jamal Cain, his second.
25% shooting coming out of that last timeout for Kansas State. And all of a sudden now you get an attack down low. You throw over the top of the defense. You sneak in behind the back line. You get production. And you're up now at the free throw line with an opportunity to make this a one-possession game.
And they will not do that. Antonio Gordon misses. Kansas State is 4 for 10 at the line. Remember, this is the thing that crushed them against Pitt. They were 3 for 13 at the line, led in the final minute, missed a free throw, lost the game. Howard with a great feed. Kane can't finish. Ed Morrow collects it.
Lost him.
And you can't do that. Marcus Howard with his 5th shot of the game, his 3rd make, and he is 2 for 2 from deep.
I call it, you don't want to visit lost and found with Marcus Howard. Like, we lost him. Oh, there he is, we found him. Because by the time you found him, he's already open and he's scoring the basketball. They've done a sensational job of limiting the clean looks that Marcus Howard has had throughout the course of this first half. Well, in this last possession, the ball gets loose. Watch where Marcus Howard is. Everybody's watching the ball. Uh-oh, you cannot point at 0. You can't simply go, hey, there's Marcus Howard. No, you've got to stay attached to him and make sure that he is shooting contested shots.
Tom H is going to get in between Mayween and Morrow before the inbound. And Sloan will throw it to Mayween. David Sloan, why not? Sloan's shot was tipped, it looked like, on the way down. On the way up. On the way down would be illegal.
That'd be goaltending.
Howard. Ooh. Turned it over, and then that's going to be a foul against Marcus Howard. It is his second foul. 1:50 to go in the half. Up by 8, 2 fouls. See what Steve Wojciechowski decides to do. The Women's Jimmy B Classic is presented by Corona. Tips off tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 3 Central on ESPN and the ESPN app. Notre Dame and 4th-ranked and unbeaten UConn at Gamble Pavilion and stores. Stanford, the new number 1 in women's college basketball, then Louisville, then Oregon, then a very quiet, unbeaten UConn. 4 Eastern, 3 Central tomorrow on ESPN.
And Megan Walker has just had an unbelievable start to the season. One of the best three-point shooters in the country in the women's game, averaging 21 points per game. I think the big question mark for me is, will the point guard Crystal Dangerfield play? She's been battling some back spasms, averaging about 13 points and 4 rebounds and 3 assists. She's an important part of what Gino wants to do for UConn.
What a great scorer, a great point guard, a great shot blocker in Olivia Nelson-Ododa, and a Notre Dame team trying to find its way, just 5-5 to start the year.
The first time in 12 years they haven't been ranked in the top 25. They got a lot of young pieces, though, and Muffet McGraw has done a tremendous job with that program.
Off the free throw split, here's Kane. And Kane drills a 3. No Marcus Howard in the game, and Marquette extends the lead to 10 anyway.
We've seen that happen multiple times here in the first half. And what's the one common denominator we've seen on those threes? It's the willingness to make the extra pass. When you make the right basketball read, so often that shot becomes not just a good shot, but a great shot, and great shots are what you're looking for.
Marquette has 10 assists, Sean, on 13 makes. Chada can't connect from 3. May Ween fighting hard for the offensive rebound, and he's the last to touch it. This is what we saw Wednesday without Marcus Howard. 25 made field goals for Marquette. 17 were assisted. Tonight it is 10 out of 13. They have shared the ball well, and they will take the use it or lose it timeout with under a minute to go. We'll step aside for 30. Don't expect to see Howard, but Marquette's up 10 anyway in the octagon. It's got 6-2 after a 24-10 season last year. With the ball with a 10-point lead on the road near the end of the first half in Manhattan. Marcus Howard, 2 fouls. He sits with 10 points. His teammates have been terrific the last few minutes without him. They're 6 of 10 collectively, Marquette, from 3. They're out-rebounding Kansas State by 5. Sakar Adam runs the point. 20 points per game in his last 2, the redshirt senior. Adam from Elliott. Chada all over him, will give him space. Here's an open 3 for Kane. He just hit one from the other corner, and Jamal Kane makes it 7 for 11 from deep for Marquette.
And coming off his best game of the season, he had 8 points, 12 rebounds. Last time out, and he has picked up his offense.
Already 6 and 4 for Kane, the junior, who's had a major step forward after a down sophomore year.
Jerry West always said, without confidence, you don't really have anything in the game of basketball, right? And Kane right now is playing with a great deal of confidence.
Chada got it back after an ill-advised 3. Morrow has the rebound for Marquette, which can take the last shot. Adam with 5. Around the freshman Gordon.
That's a travel.
That is a travel indeed. Marquette's 9th turnover of the half, and K-State will get the final shot. Tomorrow, the exclusive reveal of the college football playoff matchups, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, to be played 3 weeks from today. Reese and the guys have the New Year's 6 bowl games as well, and much more. Noon Eastern, 11 Central on ESPN. Chada with a final heave. And that's about how the first half went for Kansas State. It was a top of the backboard 20 minutes for Bruce Weber's team. 26 points on just 9 of 35 shooting. And Marquette and Steve Wojciechowski lead by a baker's dozen on the road at the half. Coming up after the break, our guys in the studio, Kevin Connors and Seth Greenberg with the E-Trade halftime report. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. 13-point lead for Marquette on the road, trying to beat Kansas State for the 2nd straight year in this home-and-home series. Kevin Brown, Sean Farnham back with you. The big question at the start of the game. How does Kansas State defend the nation's leading scorer, Marcus Howard? Your advice was pray. Have their prayers been answered?
I think it has been, really, for the majority of the first half. They did an excellent job being really physical and following Marcus Howard wherever he was on the floor. They limited him to just 5 shot attempts. But look at how physical they are off the ball. They're making him work. He's having to use multiple screens to get open. This isn't the defense we saw in the USC game where he was freed up and shooting the ball from all over the floor. He had 4 turnovers in the first half. So those were the positives. The negatives are, though, when you lose him and you do give him space, he's going to make you pay. I mentioned he's only taken 5 shots. He's made 3 of them. He's got 10 points. You have to have an awareness. And one of the things when you have a player that's in the physical conditioning that Marcus Howard is, he can tire and wear out the defense. So for K-State, you've got to continue to give him different looks and different bodies on him to stay fresh.
First half stats, Kansas State, 9 of 34 from the field, 6 of 23 from 2, just 4 points in the paint, only 5 assists. As simply as you can put it, what needs to change?
Well, I think we saw part of it down the stretch. They valued the basketball a lot better. They had 6 turnovers in the first 9 minutes. The final 11 minutes of that first half, they had 0 turnovers. What needs to change more than anything is the 10 offensive rebounds. They need to be able to score on those opportunities. So when you get second chance points, you have to finish.
With an early foul, and it's going away from the ball against McCall Mayween of Kansas State. That's his first foul. Foul trouble for both teams. For K-State, Xavier Sneed, Mike McGurl, and Deshaun Gordon all up 2. For Marquette, Marcus Howard, Brennan Bailey, Kobe McEwen on the floor now with 2. Sakar Adam misses, and this is going to be a foul, it looks like, against Bailey.
Yeah.
It will be his third, Brendan Bailey's. Jamal Cain and Greg Elliott, just to finish it off, also have 2. And Cain with the 2 fouls will replace Bailey with the 3 fouls. Well, we basically haven't seen Brendan Bailey at all in this game, neither Kobe McEwen. For Marquette, 2 starters played a combined 8 minutes due to foul trouble in the first half.
And if you're Marquette, you look at the box score at halftime, you go, on the season, we're averaging about 12 assists per game. We had 11 in the first half. So you like that. You like the fact that your team is being unselfish, sharing the basketball, and you got to try to maintain that here in the second half. But that should have been an offensive rebound and opportunity to put back. Gordon just let it go through his hands.
Mayween missed it. Mayween 3 for 8 in the game with 7. Here's McEwen, the Utah State transfer, no go. And a foul on the rebound attempt against Kansas State. This is against Xavier Sneed. His 3rd foul picked up 45 seconds into the half. What do you do?
And now Coach Weber thought they were trying to give him free throws. They're not giving him free throws. But a substitution comes in, and we talked about the defense that was played on Marcus Howard. Well, the defense played against Xavier Sneed. And Sneed was limited to just 4 shot attempts in the first half. And here's a player that's averaging 15 points per game coming in.
Howard. And he misses a 3. Here comes Jada for K-State. Cartier Jada to Mike McGurl. A little scoop.
Yeah, long run-outs and turnovers need to be capitalized in transition. Try to flatten out the defense and get to the rim.
What a pass by McEwen there. Adam did not take the shot. McEwen will reset with 17 to shoot. Kobe McEwen has had major offensive struggles this year. Mountain West Freshman of the Year 3 seasons ago. Mayween picks up a quick second foul as he holds John. That's 3 fouls and a half for K-State.
I like what K-State did, though, on that rebound. The throw ahead, spacing is appropriate. You're forcing the one backline defensive player to have to react late. That allows you to use the opposite side of the rim as protection against shot blockers and be able to finish.
Mayween shows on McEwen. Another one-hand whip around, and Adam hits a 3. Marquette is 8 for 12 from three-point range and has a game-high lead of 14.
K-State seems very comfortable leaving the furthest man away open as they pinch and they show, and they have Marcus Howard awareness at the defensive end.
Mayween flips it in. Finally got around Theo John. Mayween has a team-high 9. Kane stripped by Jada. And the loose ball picked up by Cartier-Jada.
Attack all the way. Don't
He's
stop.
ahead of steam. I don't know what happened at the end of that play. Jada with a wild shot. He was looking for contact to be called maybe, but it's out of bounds. And Marquette ball.
He anticipated the foul, but this is the possession before. Look at Mayween's footwork. On balance, keeping his pivot foot down, staying active, utilizing his upper body strength to create enough space to finish up over the top. And last possession, you got to maintain your dribble, and you got to attack and go all the way to the paint.
Theo John, rebounded by Mayween, and then Theo John is called for a foul, his first.
Over the course of his career, Theo John has struggled in the foul department. He's put himself in foul trouble a ton. This year, it hasn't necessarily been the case. He's only fouled out of one game so far. As you mentioned, just his first foul there.
23 games last year of 4 or more fouls. But a good presence tonight with a couple of shot blocks, 6 rebounds. There's the freshman Deshaun Gordon, and somehow Gordon gets it to go. An awkward angle shot in the lane.
You see the concerted effort, though, by Kansas State to attack the paint. Good switch that time on Howard.
Howard is open. He won't get it. McEwen misses a 3, rebounded by Mayween. Jada with a little push. Jada is fouled. Marquette bench wants to travel. Kansas State bench gets a foul, and it's going to be the 3rd foul on Marcus Howard. Indeed it is.
And this is what you want to do. You want to apply pressure to Marcus Howard when he's on defense. Now you drive in, you initiate the contact, and if you can take Marcus Howard out of the game, the scouting report tells you that's a good play. When you're putting Greg Elliott in the game, I mean, he was red hot in the first half from beyond the arc, spacing the floor appropriately and able to knock down shots. Let's see if he can continue that here in the second half. That was a big part of the run that we saw from Marquette. It wasn't necessarily just Marcus Howard. It was the other guys coming in ready to play.
Elliott hit a couple of threes in that half. Jada 3 for 5. Hits them both. K-State now 7 for 14 at the line. So how long does K-State go without Snead with 3 fouls, and how long does Marquette go without Howard with the 3 fouls?
I think too often we worry about the fouls when it's at 3. You have experienced players. They have to understand the foul situation, and I would not expect either one to be out more than just the under 12 timeout. They're too important to their team's success.
Elliott from McEwen. Elliott dribbled it off his shoe, or did he? No, Marquette thinks that last touch to Kansas State player Steve Wojciechowski will not get the call, however. Let's take a look. Yep, Ojo's got a point there. That was off the left sneaker of Gordon.
Now here Kansas State, try to get in a situation again where you're attacking the paint. Don't settle for the perimeter shot.
Jada hits the perimeter shot.
Never mind.
All right. It's just the way you draw it up. Cartier-Jada 6 for 32 from 3 coming into the game. 2 for 4 tonight. Timeout Marquette.
Those 2 threes, though, from Jada have come in big moments for Kansas State. It was one in the first half where they were really struggling to find any kind of consistency. This time, they go under the screen. The scouting report tells you to because of the shooting percentage. But he's in a little flow tonight. Now you got to tighten it up on the defensive end.
The reigning co-conference champions, the Kansas State Wildcats, shared the Big 12 with Texas Tech last year, snapping KU's 14-year Big 12 streak. Cartier-Jada was a big part of that team. This team, not the same expectations. Picked 9th in the Big 12 largely because of their offense. They're in a little groove now in a 9-0 run.
They've already equaled their entire first half of points in the paint and points off of turnovers.
And Jada nearly got another one.
Not that there was a ton, but there's a better energy and there's a better bounce in the step right now for Kansas State.
Kobe McEwen ran into Levi Stockard. Greg Elliott will take a 3 and hit it. He's 3 for 3 from deep. A season high of 11 for Elliott is within range. He has 9 off the bench.
How much confidence do you see in Elliott right now? I mean, he lets that thing go, and he's immediately skipping on the way back. As a shooter, sometimes you're just in that rhythm. Gordon had his feet set, and that was a beautiful release.
The Chicago City Player of the Year last season, their most heralded freshman coming in. And a travel is called against McEwen, Marquette's 12th turnover. Gordon's fired up. Kansas State is back within 5 at home.
You know, sometimes you look at numbers, last 5 games, just 3 of 13 from beyond the arc. But when you look at this stroke, it's a thing of beauty. Get your feet set, have a nice soft release. He's a much better shooter than the percentages tell you so far, and Kansas State needs it, and they've got it right now. Now Kansas State has found its rhythm here in the second half, a 12-3 run for the Wildcats, and offensively, just a better sense of aggressiveness. They have spaced the floor, they have aggressively attacked the paint. The quality of shot has been a lot better. They've made 5 out of their first 6 here in the second half. They didn't make their 5th field goal in the first half until there was 9:08 left to go on the clock.
Last 3 from that young man, Deshaun Gordon, the freshman out of Chicago. Marquette's 14-point lead has been cut to 5. Still no Marcus Howard. Out of the game with 3 fouls for Marquette. Still no Xavier Sneed with 3 fouls for Kansas State. Gordon lost the dribble, will find McGurl. 3 guards along with Stockard and Antonio Gordon for Kansas State. And Jada draws a blocking foul. Sakar Anam with his first, team's 4th. Cartier Jada has distributed well for Kansas State. 3 assists to go with 12 points. Most assists of any Kansas State player in the first 7 games of the season. An official timeout here. I think Tom Eads wants the spot cleaned up. Little wetness. Nice work for Libman there with a unintended sponsorship. Good hustle by that guy. You ever work as a ball boy?
No.
You ever want to?
No.
Ball man?
I'm good.
Floor cleaner? Stockard misses a jumper. Offensive rebound to Gordon. This is where he hit the 3 last time. He'll pass it back to Jada.
Remember Marcus Howard on the bench. Xavier Sneed on the bench for Kansas State. Both in foul trouble. I expect we'll see him after we get to that under 12-minute mark.
Somebody's got to shoot. Stockard is tripped up and fouled with 1 on the shot clock by Jace Johnson.
That's one of those fouls that you look at and it just makes your skin boil because you defensively, you've done so many things right. Now, remember, you give up an offensive rebound, the shot clock resets to 20, you're doing everything right, and then you just don't move your feet. And you're guarding out on the perimeter to a non-shooter.
Jace Johnson with a teaching moment on the Marquette bench. Ed Morrow checks in. Jada on the drive. Jada can't get it to go. Was looking for a high-flying finish. And we have a tie-up here. Possession arrow to Kansas State. And more work for the floor cleaner. Marcus Howard watches on. You're still thinking under 12 for his return?
Yeah, I think both he and Sneed will come in at the under 12. 3 fouls means you still, by the way, obviously you still have 2 more. And you expect players with their level of experience to be able to handle those situations and understand how they have to play.
Both seniors.
Great cut.
Oh, fantastic feed. Jada to Deshaun Gordon. That's the connection for the last 2 K-State baskets. This is as close as Kansas State has been to the second half. As close as they've been in a long time. And there is Marcus Howard at the scorer's table. McGurl called for a foul.
His last inbound. Watch, you step in the middle, and Elliott overcommits maybe a little bit of a soft push to free up that lane, but then you aggressively run hard. It's about the change of speed, right? A lot of times we talk about end-to-end speed. Marcus Howard comes back in the game a little bit earlier than I expected. But it's about that change of speed, right? It's not about just how quick you go. It's about how can you shift the weight of the defensive player and get to the spot before they want to.
By the way, the foul was against Cartier-Johnny, his second. That shot tipped by Gordon, who's down the floor in the run-out. Missed the layup. Adam the rebound and keeps the pivot foot strong. Now McGurl checks Howard in the half court. Extra pass for Adam. Extra pass will not count on the delivery tomorrow. Adam called for an offensive foul. It was drawn by Levi Stockard.
Understanding defensively, the rotations are very crisp. You dump it off, that's a great idea, but if you don't jump stop and on balance deliver that pass, your momentum is going to carry you forward. That's an easy call.
That was Adams' second foul. Marquette's 13th turnover. Stockard going to work. Levi Stockard, who has not been a source of consistent offense, brings K-State within one. This is what they're hoping to see from the junior out of St. Louis.
He made the play at the defensive end, taking the charge offensively. You reward him. You get the ball in his hands in an area where he can operate and find success.
It is a 16-3 Wildcat run. And the Octagon of Doom is starting to live up to its name. Howard around a screen on the catch. McGurl defends him. Howard misses a three. Rebound is loose. Morrow on the deck, and Marquette has possession now if the arrow comes into play. And some pushing and shoving late has Antonio Gordon fired up.
And McEwen is jumping in far too much. The officials are going to use this as an opportunity to look at it and get these two teams separated. But Kobe McEwen is fired up. The officials called it a jump ball on the floor. Officials are going to go look at the extracurriculars that come in, but I mean, McEwen is actually stepping over the top of his teammate. His teammate can't even get up off the ground as he's moving forward. I think twofold. Great job by the crew of officials to jump in and separate. That's one. Two, they may not add anything here. Maybe they do. Most likely not. But what they're doing is allowing the tempers to cool and be calmed down right now. Loose ball situation, multiple opportunities just to pick it up, unable to corral it because of the hustle for both teams. Whistle gets blown. Arms are flailing, I think, on both sides there. And then you see McEwen come in from the outside. And then Gordon upset as well. And now you've got the pushing, the shoving, and a lot of talking.
You see anything that warrants a flagrant there?
No, but you could administer two technicals, double technicals if you want. You could put one on Gordon and you could put one on McEwen, and I'd be okay with that just from the extracurriculars, and in particular to be a deterrent for continued carryover from that event.
Let's take a listen. When does the whistle blow?
I mean, to me, both players are pushing the arms out at each other there. I say, okay, is it a little much? Maybe, but you kind of got to let that go. But then it's the talking and the communication and the jawing back and forth and some of the pushing that I think might draw the attention and have these officials, again, try to calm the situation down so that it doesn't further escalate in the final 12-28.
Tom Eads and Brian O'Connell looked at it. They'll join Brent Hampton in a discussion. It has been a physical game. It will likely continue to be. All right, we got the word from Brent Hampton, jump ball, and nothing else.
And then both officials go to the teams, and they just talk about it. This is a nice break. That's all this really was. This was a break and an opportunity for everybody to kind of regather their attention and be like, all right, let's get back to just playing basketball here.
So it will be Marquette ball. Marquette had possession. Antonio Gordon will return to the game, and he's firing up the Wildcat student section on his way in. Whiteout crowd, the throwback jerseys, the 1973-74 stripped Wildcats. It has been an electric atmosphere here in the second half. McEwen's inbound is long, but corralled by Kane. And Howard will run the controls. Just 3 of 7 in the game for Marquette. Marcus Howard pulls up, missed it off the window. Again, a fight for the rebound, and Marquette has it. Howard got it away in the air as Gordon came over to try to block the shot. Now Kane from Morrow, that's a goaltend against Stockton.
I thought a really good decision right there by Marcus Howard. He thought he had the three-point shot, and then with awareness, he figured out that there was a defensive player from behind. Go ahead, throw that ball out, and then try to find something better, and they did.
A 14th Marquette assist on 17 made baskets comes from Morrow, his second assist of the game. And Morrow got a hand on that ball and deflected it out of bounds. Another break. Catch your breath. Should be a fun finish here in the Little Apple. Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Kansas State basketball fans. The Wildcats take on Alabama State Wednesday night. And a good St. Louis team in Kansas City at the Sprint Center. Saturday, December 21st. We'll have a combined 20 men's and women's K-State games the rest of the season. If you don't have it, sign up today. It's easy. Go to ESPNplus.com/Big12. That's ESPNplus.com/BIG12.
I not only got ESPN Plus, I got Disney Plus too, The Mandalorian. You a big fan of The Mandalorian? Have you watched
the show,
it?
Yeah.
I'm
Little
through,
Baby Yoda.
I'm through the first 3. I got to watch the 4th one still.
Oh, that's the one where...
Stop. Xavier Sneed's back in the game, by the way.
And Marcus Howard knocks it out of bounds and flies into Bruce Weber in the K-State bench. There is Sneed with the 3 fouls. His impact limited today in part because of the foul trouble. Just 13 minutes played. He is 1 for 4 from the field.
Marcus Howard, by the way, 0 for 3 here in the second half. 0 points so far.
Sneed in the game and off target. Rebounded by Stockard, though, who's brought them some great second half minutes off the bench.
Charge, a couple offensive rebounds. Impacting the game in such a positive way.
5 to shoot for Jada. Jada's got a hoist here. And he drew nothing but the net. The wrong part of it. It's a shot clock violation.
Good defense that time by Marquette. Poor recognition by Kansas State. You've got to get into your action. You can't just back the ball away as you're under 10 seconds on the shot clock, taking negative steps and seemingly disorganized.
Adam with a team high 13. We'll find Theo John. Mayween back in the game. John kicks out of it, gets an open 3, and gets the offensive rebound. Mayween has control for K-State, but he was out of bounds.
Well, Marquette's been sloppy with the basketball. They didn't finish the half valuing the basketball, and in the second half, that's continued. They have 14 turnovers. That's what Kansas State's able to manufacture offense and build confidence in this game.
Timeout McEwen. He couldn't find anywhere to get it into, and Steve Wojciechowski is hopping mad.
When you struggle to execute an out of bounds underneath, and you have to take a timeout in that moment. That is very frustrating for a coach. And why does that happen? One is timing. Rushing, cutting, moving, not waiting for the screens to be set, not setting good screens. Sometimes it's multiple aspects of that. And that time, Kansas State did a wonderful job defending and taking away the options. Marquette had to call the timeout, otherwise it would have been a 5-second violation.
6th year for Steve Wojciechowski. Let's put this Marquette team and program with Marcus Howard in a little bit of context here. They go 24-10 last year. Start 23-4, have the 1-6 stumble down the stretch, which coincided with a wrist injury to Howard. They lose in the NCAA tournament to Murray State in the first round. A couple of key transfers. Sam Hauser goes to Virginia, Joey Hauser to Michigan State. They bring back 3 starters. Where is this Marquette team in your mind? As Howard hits a 3 for a 6-point lead, where is this Marquette team in the Big East and in college basketball nationally?
Well, I think in the Big East, it's the best conference from top to bottom we see in the country right now. I mean, you look at teams like DePaul and where they were projected to be, even teams like St. John's. A nice win for St. John's today against West Virginia in Mike Anderson's first season, first game inside Madison Square Garden. I think Marquette is in the middle of the pack in the Big East. But middle of the pack Big East means you're an NCAA tournament team still, especially when you look at the top of the conference. And when you have a player like Marcus Howard, on any given night, he could obviously carry and shoulder the load.
Foul, by the way, Kobe McEwen with his 3rd. That's the team's 7th. So Jada will head to the line for K-State.
You think about DePaul and the start that they've had to the season. 9-0. They beat Minnesota. They've beaten Texas Tech. The transfer Charlie Moore has been outstanding, but so has Paul Reed, averaging a double-double.
Snead guarding Howard. Howard steps back and cannot finish. It's tipped in, though, by Jamal Cain. A one-hand throwdown for Cain, who has 10 off the bench. Had a season-high rebounds last game, season-high in points today. Jada. K-State cannot find easy offense, and Sloan's pass tipped away. What hustle by Sakar Adam. It will be K-State ball with 7 to shoot and the length of the floor to go.
Both these teams pride themselves so much at the defensive and offensively. A nice step back, a little extension of the arm that Marcus Howard got away with. And then the finish up over the top by Cain, the athleticism to elevate.
Sloan, 4 to shoot. McGurl, got it!
Outstanding full court execution that time by Kansas State.
I mean, with 7 to shoot and the full length of the court to go, can you ask for a better look than that?
Limited dribbles, moving the ball faster than the defense can react.
Their best 3-point shooter on the year, McGurl. Foul against Jotty, his 3rd.
You dribble the ball up the floor. Watch the defense. You're pinching in a little bit too much. And part of that is understanding how much time was left on the clock. Cain should have been extending out a little bit more because he was really just guarding empty space.
There's a hard drive by Howard. Elliott with a floater over Mayween. Contact and a foul finally whistled. And it's going against Marquette. Foul on Theo John, his 2nd, Marquette's 8th. And we'll march it down to the other end of the floor for Kansas State 1-1.
Well, and if Kansas State is going to win this game, they're going to have to make free throws. And that sounds simple, but it has not been the case for them so far tonight. They are just 7 of 15. That's 47%. I think with the level of aggressiveness that we've seen K-State play with here, they've got to continue to attack. They've got to continue to apply pressure to Marquette's defense by getting them to try to play on their heels a little bit. Snead, a very good free throw shooter, 70% on the season.
Been their leading scorer 5 of the last 6 games. And he gets an awfully friendly kick. Just 5 points for Xavier Snead. And yet here is K-State down 4.
He came into this game making his last 7 free throw attempts.
113th game out of 114 possible in his K-State career. He's had to step up. No Brown, no Wade, no Stokes. They have Snead, and Kansas State is within 3. McGurl has done a fantastic job against Howard, who lost the ball on the way in. Last touch by K-State. Remember, Maryland limited Howard in the championship game in Orlando to 6 points, 1 for 12 shooting. Did not play Wednesday, was in the concussion protocol. The fans just got to look at that last play, and it seemed like the officials missed it, and Howard was the last to touch. And now a foul before the ball comes in. Foul against Jada, that's his 4th, and it looked like he hit Adam in the face. Cartier Jada will have to leave the game with 4 fouls. Let's see.
As he starts to go into the screening action, he extends his arm out and makes contact with the face. An easy call. And Trainer out on the floor.
That is the redshirt senior Sakar Adam, 13 points. Jada's trying to plead his case to a sympathetic group, but he's out of the game for the moment with 4 fouls.
As the ball goes over the top, watch the contact. Right onto his nose. Subsequently causing, he's going to go back to locker room right now, it looks like.
Maybe Marquette's best all-around player this year, Sakar Adam, as wonderful a scorer as Howard is. Adam does so many things well for them, and he'll leave the floor with 9:13 to go. And Jada's working on his right hand as well. So pain on both ends of that contact. And it has, for different reasons, taken out 2 of the better players in this game for the time being.
When you have a long stoppage like this, listen how quiet all of a sudden the arena's gotten. Life is kind of calmed down. Their players are going to go back to the sideline once again as they're still trying to clean up the floor.
Another good moment for Libman.
Yeah, but it breaks the flow of the game up, you know. And I understand, obviously, having to clean up the flow, excuse me. But you want to have flow in this game, and the energy and everything was on the side of Kansas State prior to that play. You felt like they were the team that was playing with purpose.
Is there a best way to get it back, or is that just dependent on an individual team's personality?
It's really about the makeup, and you come out of that break, and that's one of the best looks that Marcus Howard has had the entire second half.
4 for 11 from the field now. Kansas State can tie with a 3. Sloan runs the point with Jada on the bench with 4 fouls. Off the cut, Sloan up top, and he threw it away too deep for Mayween, and a Kansas State turnover.
I want Xavier Snead more involved in this offense down the stretch for Kansas State.
Howard on the drive. Howard finishes off the glass. He has 15.
A lot of his action has been from beyond the arc, and that's been a credit to Kansas State's defense. But that time, he got his shoulders lower than the defensive player, turned the corner. Very good at absorbing contact and able to finish.
Sloan in a world of trouble with the freshman Symir Torrance on the deck, and Kansas State got a timeout. 17 to shoot. Kansas State calls a timeout, but a great defensive play by Torrance forced it. Marquette by 5 on the road. Gremlins Coliseum, the Octagon of Doom. A game that has come to a screeching halt with a couple of stoppages and timeouts. Marquette leads by 5 on the road. Marcus Howard with 15 to lead the way. Kansas State's Cartier Jada, their leading scorer with 12, on the bench with 4 fouls. So David Sloan runs the point. David Sloan eventually gets its way to Sneed, and he badly misses a 3, and it's Marquette ball. It has just been a struggle all night long for Kansas State. Now 17 for 49, shooting sub 35% for the field.
Yes, but in this half, 53%. I'm a half full guy.
You're an optimist.
Well, and one of the things I think that K-State's going to look at, right now, they have 12 offensive rebounds, so does Marquette. They're minus 10 in second chance points. If this score holds up, you're going to be looking at that and go, man, we had plenty of chances to finish around the basket, get second chance points, and just unable to get it done.
Marcus Howard, a deep 3. No. And the offensive rebound by Kane. Nobody boxed him out, and Jamal Kane brought the thunder.
How about the elevation and the finish?
And Bruce Weber's thinking, how about the lack of white jerseys in the area? Kane with a season-high 12, 4 shy of a career high. McGurl. Mayween. And a rebound to Kane. His 8th to go with 12 points. Howard through everybody. Wild shot goes. The circus in town for Marquette. And Howard has a chance to extend the lead to 10 when we return.
Well, take a look at the last 2 buckets here. You have the shot attempt. Anyone want to put a body on Kane? If you don't, he's going to do that. A free pathway right to the rim. This one wasn't free. He had to earn it, but as I mentioned off the top, anybody that's spent any time watching Marcus Howard, they're not surprised by his ability to make circus shots, difficult shots. He does it on a consistent basis.
The foul was Mayween's 3rd. By the way, the 8:22 stoppage did count as our under 8 media time. I want to correct myself.
You want to throw us to break.
I don't want to go. We've had enough stoppages. No more stoppages. Apologies to our sponsors and our advertisers. We're sticking around for the next 7 minutes.
Well, right now for Kansas State, you're back-to-back possessions. You've allowed this lead to balloon out. That's the last thing you wanted to have was a live ball turnover.
And it was Jada back in the game with 4 fouls. Howard dispossessed. Got rid of it to Adam back in the game after he headed to the locker room with that injury up near the face. Here comes Xavier Sneed, great find, and Gordon just plainly missed the layup. Antonio Gordon has the offensive rebound. He'll shoot, and
That's
he'll
a
miss.
push in the back on Marcus Howard.
Yes, that will be Marcus Howard's 4th foul, and it comes with 6:25 to go. Leave him in?
No.
Are you saying that because Greg Elliott's at the scorer's table?
Well, every time Greg Elliott comes to visit us, he's going to go play basketball. And so that's kind of a dead giveaway there. I was thinking about it. It was 6:25 left in a 10-point lead. You don't need to keep him in the game in that moment. You can put him on the bench and be like, all right, let's see what this group can do. And Elliott's had a very nice evening.
At the line, Xavier Sneed.
But just as much as I mentioned, hey, you go back in the game with 3 fouls, you know how many fouls you have. That is a foolish foul for Marcus Howard to pick up. That is one that an experienced player like him has to understand. You cannot shove from behind in a rebounding situation and think that you're not going to get called on it.
And it leads to 2 free throws for Sneed. 6 for 7 at the line in the game.
Stops the 9-0 run.
Mayween on Adam. Here's McEwen, who's not scored in the game. Finds Adam in the corner. A 3 for Elliott. And Greg Elliott off the bench. In for Marcus Howard. Beg your pardon, Jamal Kane off the bench hits the triple.
And again, that was that extra pass and floor spacing. I like this unit when it's been out on the floor together.
15 for Kane. Offensive rebound, K-State. And it's Snead with a three off the rebound for Deshaun Gordon.
Boy, did Snead need that. He was just 1 of 6 on the evening, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc.
Kane. Great roll by Theo John after getting rid of it to McEwen. Kobe McEwen, the assist at the other end.
If you run 2 to the ball, then your help side defense has got to rotate like their hair is on fire, and that time it did not.
Sloan throws it away, and Elliott is called for a foul.
I mean, you just say that's an inadvertent whistle and let's go to the other end. I mean, that was a heck of a play. And as much as I was just talking about help side defensive rotation, right? At one end it didn't happen and John is dunking at the rim. That time, Elliott did an outstanding job jumping the passing lane and reading the passer.
Now it's
inadvertent whistle.
Marquette
Let's just go.
All right. It certainly didn't look like a foul. Marquette was shocked, and the officials cleaned it up. It is Marquette ball off the K-State turnover.
It happens. By the way, Elliott was wide open again. Their help side defense is very slow right now.
Adam lost it, and we're going to tie up. K-State possession. Don't want anything else here after the officials separated the players earlier in the half.
Returning for K-State for 2,
I think if I'm Marquette, I'm going to continue to roll up with that high ball screen because the roller has been open on each of the last 2 possessions. The first one they found, and the second one they did not. But that action has been highly successful and will lead to high percentage shots.
What about offensively for K-State?
It's been a struggle all night long. I think it has to come predicated upon their defense. I think they have to turn Marquette over down the stretch of this game. If they don't force 4 or 5 turnovers down the stretch, I think it's going to be a struggle.
Gordon. No going to 3. Jada high flying with the 4 fouls for the offensive rebound. And this foul will go against Marquette. It is Jamal Kane picking up his 3rd.
It was a good box out by McEwen. Jada utilized his athleticism to get there, and then it was just Kane coming from over the top. This is an easy call. Watch Jada work his way in. Hands up high, and Kane's reaching. Easy call by the officials. You get free throws. The problem is it's not Snead at the free throw line.
Yeah, Snead is 6 for 7. Everybody else is 5 for 12. That includes Jada, who's 4 for 7. He's amused by it all the same. Jada gets the first. Mike McGurl returns for David Sloan. With that brand new hairstyle, by the way, we got to give Mike McGurl some love for that.
He got it done 2 days ago. He said it took about an hour and a half. He did it in the spring of last year and liked it and was like, you know what, I'm bringing it back this year.
Uses the offseason as a hair laboratory, essentially. Jada will leave the game, by the way. Little offense-defense with the 4 fouls.
You stand out this pressure. You're looking to speed up Marquette. Marquette struggled. That's a bad place to pick up the ball.
And McEwen turns it over. Snead will get it back from Gordon. And then nearly throws it away. Marquette got a piece of it. I think it was Adam, and K-State will bring Jada and Sloan back in the game on offense.
And Marquette right now, to close out a game on the road, you've got to value the basketball. You have to understand that Kansas State is going to continue to apply pressure and try to speed you up and get you out of your rhythm.
Still no Marcus Howard with the 4 fouls. Jada could not hit a 3. He's hit 2 in the game. And now here's Kane, fouled by Antonio Gordon. An 8-point lead for Marquette on the road. Can the Golden Eagles hang on in the Octagon of Doom? Louisville's number one. Do you think they're going to hang on for a little while?
I think they can hang on for a little while. And just because they're number one, by the way, doesn't mean they're playing the best basketball of anybody in the country. I think Ohio State is. I think when you look at what the Buckeyes have been able to accomplish so far this season, did an outstanding job against Villanova. Then, of course, in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, they handed Roy Williams his worst home loss in his tenure as head coach of North Carolina. Caleb Weston has been outstanding. Had 28 and 10 today in a win against Penn State. I think the Buckeyes are playing as well as anybody in the country.
Triple digits. They cracked 100 today in a home win over Penn State. The officials are reviewing the score right now. That's what we're being told. Kansas State is arguing they should have an extra point.
Well, I'd rather get it sorted out now than at the end of the game. The officials have looked at it. They think they figured it out, and they're saying we're good.
There have been a couple of threes that were, or threes or twos subsequently reviewed during breaks. We're good. Thumbs up from Brian O'Connell. And we're going to the free throw line for Marquette's Jamal Cain. What do we have in store down the finish in Manhattan? 1-1 for Cain. He hits the first. Still no Marcus Howard in the game. On the bench with 4 fouls and a 9-point Marquette lead.
Marquette has really not gotten to the free throw line very often tonight. That's just their 7th attempt. This will be their 8th. But they have made it work. They are 7 of 8 as a team from the free throw line this evening.
And that is a new career high for Jamal Cain. He had 16 2 years ago against Xavier. 17 tonight to go with 9 rebounds off the bench. Sneed. In the corner, Jada. McEwen guards him.
Really good defensive possession of cutting the half court in half. They have not gotten a ball reversal on this possession.
Mayween missed it. A long possession took 27 seconds, and Marquette gets a defensive rebound.
And the defense was never shifted. They were allowed to load to the ball because the ball never came across the mid-flight line and get a ball reversal action. You want to reverse the ball 2 or 3 times, and you're going to find something wide open.
Cain. A rare miss for him, rebounded by Gordon. Can K-State push a little bit? They can, as Sloan is fouled by McEwen. Kobe McEwen's 4th.
And it goes back to what Coach Weber told us at shoot-around today. He said, offensively, we need patience. We need to move it, and we need to trust in it, which means when we're making your passes, that they're crisp passes, and you have faith and trust that if you're open, it's going to come back to you. And on that last possession, I felt like the ball really got stuck from our vantage point to the right-hand side of the half court.
Here comes Marcus Howard back in for Marquette. You know, patience, I think, when we talk to Bruce Weber, doesn't necessarily equate slowness.
Right.
Kansas State has had some long possessions which have not resulted in much ball movement, and they have struggled in the half court. And Mayween went over the back, and Mayween is called for his 4th foul.
We'll come down to this end and shoot some free throws.
Why not? Everybody gets a free throw.
Well, it's a great point that you make. A lot of times people hear, okay, you have to have patience offensively. Well, that means coach wants to play slow. No, it doesn't. It means you want to get a really good possession, and you want to have enough patience to understand that by moving the basketball, you can get a better, cleaner shot. Instead of taking the first shot that seemingly is available that probably is going to end up being contested, move the ball and find a higher percentage shot.
Meanwhile, Theo John, just 15 for 27 at the line, hits the first. And misses the second. 10-point game, 3 minutes to go. Manhattan, Kansas. Marquette looking for what will be, you'd think, a pretty good non-conference win on the road.
What a catch.
And Gordon finishes, a chance for 3. off of a wild feed from Jada.
They got You Got Mossed on Sunday Countdown on ESPN. And this is not necessarily You Got Mossed, but it's a sensational grab. I mean, if you put a defensive player more in front of him, I think even Randy Moss would appreciate this one. That pass had a lot of pepper on it, and good movement without the basketball reaching back and able to grab that one in and then finish.
Deshaun Gordon, too shy of a season high. Bruce Weber said that Deshaun will text him in the middle of the night. What can I do to get better at this? How can I improve at that? Highly motivated true freshman for K-State.
That's what you want. If you want players with huge buy-in that want to be a part of your program.
Howard, step back. No. And the rebound tracked down by Jada. 3-possession game at the moment.
Xavier Sneed was open. He was looking for the lob. I think it was a smart play not to throw it to him.
Mayween into Theo. Johnny is fouled. 4th foul against John, who picked up a foul on the previous possession. And McCall Mayween will head to the line.
I love the fact that you're entering the ball down low in the post. You're trying to be aggressive. And when you struggled for a majority of tonight, they're 33% shooting on the game for K-State. This half, as much as we talked about their struggles in the first half from the free throw line, they've been 10 of 12 as a team.
Mayween, their best free throw shooter statistically coming in, but he clanks the first.
Stop the clock. You make your free throw. It allows you to extend out your defense. You can press, create turnovers. If not, at least you're forcing Marquette to have to work.
Got the second. Not much of a pressure here from K-State initially. It's the freshman Gordon, 6'4", with a heck of a wingspan on Howard. Gets the step. Kept the foot down. And the three is good for Kobe McEwen, his first basket of the game.
He came in as such a prolific shooter from Utah State. They need him to be able to stretch the defense. That's an easy foul underneath as well.
Theo John just fouled out with 1:53 to go.
Theo John, his 5th personal foul.
You're playing behind in the post that deep. You can't reach and hold, and that's exactly what he did.
He had 2 fouls 3 possessions ago.
It's good recognition and good understanding of where you want to go and how you want to try to manufacture points. It's not by accident that they're isolating and trying to attack. As you mentioned, Mayween, the best percentage free throw shooter on the team.
Is it a fair question to ask, and you tell me if it's not, is it a fair question to ask why Kansas State couldn't find this matchup earlier in the game?
Well, I think a lot of it was trying to see if they could attack off the perimeter. I think it's adjustments and changing to what the defense is giving you. As the defense is guarding out and trying to take Xavier Sneed out of the game, and Jada was trying to create offense by aggressively attacking. You're trying to get those guys that are known, the known players on the scouting report, the guys that are 1 and 2 on the scouting report, you need to get them going.
Jada off the Howard miss. Cannot bank it in, and Johnson just into the game gets the rebound and gets fouled by Deshaun Gordon. Jace Johnson will shoot 2 for Marquette with an 8-point lead and 90 seconds to go. Sports Center tonight after UFC Fight Night with SVP. Herbie and Reese join the show with their college football top 4 picks. Who's going to be number 1? Ohio State's been in some trouble tonight against Wisconsin. LSU beat Georgia. Coaches make their case for the committee. And the best moments and highlights from Fight Like Hell Night in the UFC honoring the great Stuart Scott. Sports Center with SVP on ESPN and the ESPN app. Jace Johnson misses the first.
Jace Johnson struggles at the free throw line, 53% coming into this game. As long as he's out on the floor now with John on the bench, if you want to elongate this game, I'd foul him.
40% last year, and he misses both. Rebound to Jada. 3-possession game. McGurl. Sneed a 3. No. Great rebound by McEwen. And he is fouled.
You talk about Kobe McEwen. Last year, transferred, sat out last season from Utah State. He was all Mountain West Conference third team, the native from Toronto, Canada. Really did a great job of stretching the defense, and they need him to be more consistent from beyond the arc. And we mentioned really struggling coming into this game over the last 4, shooting just 15%. If he can get to his percentage, which really, you look at 38%, a lot of that came in one game. But if you can get him to be a consistent 38 to 41% three-point shooter, which he is more than capable of doing, that takes pressure off of guys like Marcus Howard to have to be scored. Because you know the defenses are going to be scheming to try to make his life miserable. You can actually free up your teammate by doing what you're capable of doing.
By the way, Maylene fouled out on that last one as McEwen hit the free throws. Levi Stockard is in, and he scores. Timeout, K-State.
Quick and too easy. 2 reasons why. One is the back line of the defense is allowing Kansas State to initiate the contact and carve out the space that they want. And the perimeter isn't applying the ball pressure necessary to make that pass much more difficult than it is.
So Kansas State uses a timeout, has 1 left, 1:06 to go. Marquette has 1 remaining as well. Golden Eagles have good non-conference wins. They beat Purdue, one against Davidson and USC in Orlando before losing to Maryland in the Orlando final. Trying to get to 7-2 with a few non-conference games left before the gauntlet of Big East play. Bruce Weber's team will face a conference gauntlet themselves, picked to finish 9th, only ahead of TCU in the Big 12, 1 year after K-State was the 1 seed and shared the conference title with Texas Tech. They've won 33 straight non-conference games here at Bramlage Coliseum. Last loss in such a game was to Georgia in 2014. They don't draw too many of these excellent high major programs into Bramlage. This is a treat to get Marquette, but it's not turning out to be so delicious.
Good execution from Marquette. Good aggressiveness, good defense tonight. The things that you would expect from a team that's going to be probably in that discussion of that upper half, middle to upper half of the Big East this year. And you look at their upcoming schedule, you mentioned it, you get a good road win here. You beat USC. You beat Purdue. And you've got 3 very winnable games before you start conference play. Momentum.
Can I give a shout out to one of our colleagues, by the way?
Yes. We're going to say no?
You could say no.
I'm not going to.
Do you want to know who the colleague is first?
Go.
McGurl for 3. And that's no good. This was, according to some folks around here, this was the biggest non-conference home game here at Bramlage. And again, they play some non-conference games at Kansas City. This was the biggest non-conference home game in Bramlage since 2010, when number 22 Virginia Tech came to town, coached by our good friend Seth Greenberg.
There you go.
Kansas State, by the way, won that game 73-57. And Seth may not like to remember there were a couple of technical fouls called against the Virginia Tech bench late in that game.
But this is what's good about college basketball when we have these kind of games. I love these games. I love the fact when they're on campus. You just saw Kentucky sign a 3-game series with Michigan. First game's going to be in London, and then the next 2 are going to be on campus. Those are going to be unbelievable environments, and they're great for the game.
This is part of a new Big East, Big 12 scheduling alliance. All 10 teams in their respective leagues will play one from the other. McGurl is fouled. Steve Wojciechowski said no fouls, and then his team immediately committed one. Greg Elliott's going to check back in one more time.
I'm pretty sure Greg Elliott's not going to foul. He heard Coach say not to foul. It's funny, where we're sitting here, all of the Marquette players, when they check in, they're like literally standing right in front of us. Usually we're on the opposite side of the court. It's a little different.
And Greg Elliott has seemed as cool as anyone on the court. There we are.
Yeah.
But every time he steps in front of the scorer's table, he's looked at either you or I, and he's seemed to be listening to what we've been saying. He's cool as a cucumber out there, Greg Elliott. He's got the ball right now.
No need to foul here.
Greg Elliott's going to hang on to the ball to end the game. Marquette didn't need 40-plus for Marcus Howard this time. They get the win anyway over Kansas State. Beat the Wildcats in back-to-back years. 73-65 on the road for the Golden Eagles, a non-conference win in the Big 12.
Some good balance across the board for Marquette. I think that's going to be key moving forward as they get closer to conference play.
Coming up next on ESPN2, it's SportsCenter. Good night from Manhattan, Kansas.